I gotta get moving, y'all. It is freezing over there, like freezing. So, thank you for having me today. I want to start off by just giving a little bit of background about myself. So again, my name is Tiya Trent. I am a program manager at Project VOYCE. So as a young black girl, I always wanted to be like on TV and be a journalist because I love telling stories and I love talking. And that's kind of what journalism is, right? You get to listen to people, tell their stories, tell your story. But for me, I didn't think was an option at that point. I didn't see a lot of folks that looked like me on television, and when I did, it wasn't always positive. It was mostly negative, right? And so, like most people, some people from my community, I went another way. I decided to focus on sports, right? Because that could get me where I wanted to go. And I did play sports. I played basketball, and it's hilarious because my basketball coach from over 20 years ago texted me today. So I must have been on his heart. So that's amazing. If we fast forward to the present day, I am actually in the business of telling stories, whether that is to my customers through my baking business, which is called Patty Bakes, or through acting for social justice causes and issues, and even journalistically through my work at Project VOYCE. So again, we work with youth that are ages 14 to 24. There are not a lot of nonprofit organizations that pay youth stipends, but we are one of the ones that actually pay our youth stipends to be participants in our programs. Thank you. So Project VOYCE was founded in 2006 by students when it was, being threatened to close down so that they could serve students that look like them, and to ensure that their voices were heard in the school redesign efforts. So Manual High School is traditionally an underserved, high minority school that uses high and free reduced lunch, but I think now all the schools pretty much are doing free lunch, so that's a great thing. And it's an inner city public school in Denver. So we still go back to Manual, that's our roots. We had our annual fundraiser there, Venture with Voices, and we just had an event there like 2 weeks ago. So youth in our programs are making media in their own ways, right? They're like, we're going to do this our way. You're not listening to us. So they're doing collaborations in our communities with folks like Brother Jeff on his show, with the 5 Points Atlas, The Drop, and even the Black Business Initiative, which is run by Jice Johnson. At Project VOYCE, our motto is nothing about us without us. So this is a picture of some of our youth advocates, some of our youth partners that work with us. So again, we believe that youth at Project VOYCE and abroad must be engaged in their own liberty, right, in their own development, and in development of their communities. So we have a few different curriculums that they can go through so that they learn these different things of public speaking, of how to deal with adultism, and those different things. So we're happy, for the most part, that our stories are getting out, right? But mainstream media still has a megaphone to the broader public. And so we need to change that. So it's essential to consider how our youth are portrayed and how news about people of color reaches those in power. We have to, again, like Melissa said, stop gatekeeping. If we look around this room, we're not all that young, right? So we're not going to be here forever. So we need to look to our youth to continue these legacies of writing stories from their perspective and from their history and their culture and their lived experience. This is an example, I think, of some great journalism. This young woman, her name is we call her Alessandra Chavera. She was featured in Vogue for her work in environmental issues in Denver. So I believe Miss Olga is here and is going to speak more, but our youth are really invested in environmental histories and have been a part of, the Suncor lawsuit and all those good things. So Her story in Vogue highlights how young climate activists are coming together to document the negative impacts of pollution in our community and sound the alarm so that everyone can hear it, okay? We're doing it at levels that we have never seen before. And Ale started off with us when she was a teenager. Now she's a young adult. She started off as a participant, and now she's actually a paid staff. So, if journalists want to be the voice of the people, then you actually have to go to the people and the sources of the stories where they're impacting folks. You know, not everybody has the privilege of telling people's stories or listening to people's stories. So when you do, you have to use it wisely. So, for me, in 5 years, I hope that we see more mainstream journalists build solid and authentic relationships with Colorado's youth, especially through organizations like Project VOYCE. This is what we're training our youth to do, right? To get up here, to use their voices for their community and for the greater good. I hope to see more youth on your community advisory boards and more youth involved in the reporting cycle. And I hope to see people from our communities that don't usually get to be on stage and get to be everywhere and get to tell their stories to be hired, not just for paid internships, right? In 5 years, I hope to see more of them rise through the ranks to become editors, to become reporters, and again, not just enlisted as unpaid staff. Right? We all know that folks do need, you know, some type of training, learning, right? Which is why we pay our youth stipends. So we know that that's a big issue in the world with certain folks. And so our way of making sure that our youth are able to attend our programs as well as do the other things is paying them stipends so that they know that their time, their experience, and their life matters. So, last and not least, a tip for today. Be careful how you frame the work and the role of our youth advocates. Like journalists, they are here specifically to hold powerful and influential people accountable for how their stories are being told and how other stories are being told. Their voices have and can inspire to demand action and positive change, which we need more of now and in the future. And as we can see here, we have 2 generations, right? Ale's had her baby, and she's just bringing up another generation to continue to fight this work. So, thank you.